This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
You know, some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com, ODOO.com.
When it comes to playtime, never let your squad down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Push your gameplay beyond performance with 13th Gen Intel Core processors. Upgrade to smooth, high-quality streaming with Intel Wi-Fi 6E. And maximize game performance with enhanced overclocking. Win the tech search and head to Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely. And parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/iHeart.
The Twin Cities Auto Show presented by Quick Trip will roll into the Minneapolis Convention Center April 11th through the 13th and again April 16th through the 19th. The Twin Cities Auto Show is the place to compare hundreds of new vehicles in every category: sedans, compacts, SUVs, trucks, EVs, luxury cars. Find all the details, TwinCitiesAutoShow.com. That's TwinCitiesAutoShow.com.
Couple 13-14 pass, Common Man Program. That's Brett Blakemore, Common, the legendary Mark Rosen. Here's a text message I want to get to right away. Common doesn't think that the locker room presence and being part of a team factors into this decision. Rodgers has always been a me, not we attitude. In other words, we don't need him because he doesn't care about the team. He only cares about himself, and it will disrupt the locker room. You remember the New York Yankees and the Bronx Zoo? How was that locker room?
How about the Oakland A's back in the day?
How about the Oakland A's? How was that locker room? How about the Oakland Raiders? How are those locker rooms?
They basically tore each other apart.
And guess what? They won. They won championships.
Yeah, I think that's over. I mean, you know, when Favre was here in 2009, he was like one of the guys. I saw enough of that byplay going on between them, but he was definitely, he had his own set of rules. Tom West was his guy dealing with the media. After games, he didn't go walking out in the parking lot and mingle and get into his car. He had a car pick him up underneath Metrodome.
I'm very well aware of that.
Yeah, and all that stuff. And that's part of, I guess, being that way. But I never got the sense with Favre when he was here that he was not all in with the team. I mean, I think he definitely was. But I with Rodgers, I think people can. I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers fan. I know you're not in a lot of ways, but honestly, I think from a football standpoint, if he came in here, and I don't think he is, I'd put it at 2% at the highest.
Really?
But I think if he came in here, I don't think he. I mean, I would hope he wouldn't, knowing the situation he's in. With the players that he's surrounded by, the leadership they have on this team, I just don't see him pulling that crap. I think he wants to. I think he would come here for one reason, that's to win, and that's to put it in the Packers' noses and the Bears and everybody else. And I think he would just, hopefully just go out and play football. But that's asking a lot for a guy who's, I mean, it doesn't mean he can't do the Pat McAfee show or whatever else he's doing, but I think it would be a different sort of demeanor than what we've seen. But who knows? I don't know. I don't know the guy. I don't. First of all, I don't think it's going to happen. So I think it's a moot point. But what? Oh, I know. I saw the. No, they got.
It's not hard to get to the Twins game, Mark.
No, I know. Well, what? I didn't say it would be.
You were you seem to be very nervous about that.
I wasn't nervous about it. I thought it was.
You were mad about it. You said, if I have to watch on my phone, you were going to boycott the Twins.
I wasn't going to go through all those shenanigans to download it into my phone and go through Hulu or Netflix. I'm old school like you are. I mean, if your kids weren't around, you would know how to put your television on. To switch the channels or from Hulu to Netflix or to Rockford Files.
I've figured it out now.
Well, I'm just saying.
I've learned how to do that.
I have two at home.
There's a cord.
I understand.
I pull it out of the TV. Yep. I take the other cord for Fire Stick.
It's true.
I put it in.
Right.
Then the next thing I know at that point,
right.
I've got Hulu, I've got Disney, I've got Netflix, I've got Amazon.
Why do you have to switch it? Why can't you just get all that on your TV, on your smart TV? I mean, can't you go from just like, say, talking to your remote, go Netflix, Hulu,
no, it doesn't work
Apple. I do. That's all I do. I don't have to unplug anything or plug anything else in.
Huh?
Just talk to my remote, and the remote does the rest. That's not unusual. That's pretty
I don't know
typical.
what you're talking about.
Well,
I have a thing called Fire Stick.
Okay, I know. I've heard of Fire Stick.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I have through my Comcast account.
Okay, so you're better than me. Okay.
I'm not saying I'm better than you.
No,
I'm just saying it seems like an extra step that's unnecessary if you have a remote that you can use as a device that you just literally hit the button and go whatever channel you want.
Sorry, I'm not as advanced as you.
No. I say like tonight. Now, tonight, as Brett said, there's a lot of programming predicaments going on. So I think after I make my wonderful pork chop dinner for my lovely wife when she gets home on the grill, I'm going to be flipping around after. I'll try to catch the Twins game this afternoon. But I mean, I
have a smart TV. This guy says, "You need a smart TV." I have a smart TV. I have a dumb one too downstairs, the 25-inch Toshiba Regs.
There you go. Got to remember. Oh man, these kids today they don't know how good they have it. But yes, I'm aware that they announced it yesterday. Actually, officially announced it this morning as far as where you could find.
And where are you finding yours? That on
Well,
Comcast?
I got Xfinity Comcast. Yeah, and I have that. I saw that same thing. It's coverage begins at 2:30 and games at 3 or 3:15, whatever time they introduce all the players.
Do you have to pay an extra $20 a month?
No, I just asked Abbott that.
Well, who's covering the?
Abbott said no because they have it here, and I think he says no.
Then how are the Twins getting their money?
I have no idea.
You think Comcast is going to give them? They're going to pay them for every single person that decides to watch Twins games, or is Comcast just doing it for free?
I thought there might be an extra charge. I asked Abbott that very question. Unless other people want to weigh in on that. Well, Abbott,
he doesn't know.
Well, he's the program director. That's funny stuff. Maybe he'll come in here now that if he's listening, because Swedberg was there too. So I don't think they're putting it on all the TVs, but I asked him, is there an additional charge? He said, no. It's part of your Xfinity package, I guess. I don't know. I guess I'll find out when the bill comes. But I went through that whole, all the gyrations last year when I had to get direct TV because the Twins were no longer on Comcast, and I signed up for that, and then eventually I dropped it because
you were bitter.
Well, the Twins dropped out of contention, and I dropped out of DirecTV. And nothing against DirecTV. I just was, I'm fed up with the baseball team. I don't want to pay any more for it. So, bye-bye. But I'm back. We're 0-0. We're 0-0, and we got Pablo on the mound. What could possibly go wrong?
Saw the lineup, yep.
Oh, yeah. Wallner's going to have an all-star season.
You saw the starting lineup for today, right? Did you look at it?
I think I did. I gandered at it, yeah. I mean, nothing real surprising. Right? I mean, defensively, they look like, they've made some improvements. I don't know. Obviously, Miranda's going to have to play at third base for quite a while, I would think. I don't know how long Royce is going to be out, but I'm hoping big things from the kid. I mean, he's busting his chops, trying to not just get back to the majors, but stay here once he got here. And then he's had some streaks where he's been on, just terrific. And the other streaks where it just looks like he's never seen a baseball before. So now he's got to find that level of consistency, but I like his game. But, I heard what you're talking about with the predictions and whatnot. I'm picking Kansas City to win the division.
Really? Because of Witt?
Because of Bobby Witt. He's my favorite player in baseball. Not even close. I love that kid.
You had your eye on him for a long time, too.
I had my eye on him. I mean, he was a second overall pick. So it was
you were watching him in the minor leagues.
Well, I don't know if you can spend a day in the minors. I don't know if I've ever heard that before. Yeah. But, second overall pick in 2019.
My favorite player.
He was, he played the minors. Well, who's your favorite player?
Well, he plays for the Twins. I don't have favorite players on other teams like you.
Why not?
You've really changed.
What are you talking about?
There was a time where you were a dyed-in-the-wool Pollard pocket protection. You loved everything about the club, and they could do no wrong. And you loved And now last year when they struggled a little bit, you deserted them.
No, they deserted me.
No, you said you canceled because
I did because they deserted me. They
just started losing games.
Well, they stopped playing.
Well, they didn't stop. They just started losing games.
No, they were awful. They were more than just started losing games. They went in the tank.
How about the Vikings when they went in the tank against Detroit and the Rams? You didn't give up on them, did you?
Well, it was one game at the end of the season. It was a playoff game. Oops. There's that call I've been waiting for.
You gave up on the Twins last year. You turned your back on them is what you did.
I will say this again. They gave up on the fans.
No, they didn't. They were trying to win games. You think they stopped playing? You think they all got in the locker room and said, hey, let's just mail it in the rest of the season? They were trying. They didn't give up. They were trying.
Baseball's a funny game. Baseball's a funny game. And for whatever reason, when one guy starts
and now your favorite player,
2, 3, 4, 5. No, he's been my favorite player for 2 years.
Levin used to be your favorite player.
He was never my favorite player.
And Carew and Puckett and all those guys. Yeah. And now it's some guy that plays for Kansas City.
I love the way he plays the game. He reminds me.
Well, don't you like the way Royce Lewis plays and Byron Buxton? They're both great players.
Unfortunately, I rarely get to see Royce Lewis play.
Right, but that doesn't mean they still can't be your favorite player.
Of course. I mean, there was nothing more exciting than the postseason games. Wow. When he let off with a home run. Royce Lewis has the capability of being that kind of a Bobby Witt player. But you know what? You got to stay in the line if you can't be in the tub, as they say.
Sounds like you've really given up on this club.
Yeah.
Brett?
Well, he's right.
I just said they're 0-0, and they got Pablo on the mound today. I'm excited about them beating a bad St. Louis team.
Rosie, you jumped off the bandwagon, and we don't need you, because you did. You jumped off the bandwagon.
No, I did not. No, I jumped off the bandwagon late last year, like everybody else did, because the Twins were unwatchable late last year. Unwatchable.
They were in it the last week, and you gave up to them 3 weeks ago.
They said, well, actually it started 2 years ago when they won that series against Houston, when I did the show with you, and I raced down to Target Field to get there in time, and the place was jumping. It was like, this is what we've been waiting for since they opened Target Field. And they beat Houston. They get to the next series. They lose, unfortunately, and they reward the fans by slashing their payroll.
Yeah, but for years...
Yeah, I've been I've been a baseball fan for
But for years, you said, well...
I understand the limitations with market size. I understand that, even everybody in this division, Cleveland hasn't, they went through that whole thing. I don't think it's possible, really, I looked at a couple different, like, who you picking? Obviously, the Dodgers, you were asking Brett earlier. I mean, the Red Sox didn't make the playoffs last year, and all of a sudden they're favored by a lot of people to represent the American League. They made some big additions this offseason. That's what big markets do. They have the capabilities of kind of rebooting things. But how often do you see Cleveland or Kansas City? Kansas City got a couple good pitchers. That's why I'm picking them to win the division. But White Sox are awful. Cleveland's okay. Detroit's okay. But that's just it. Fortunately, they're in their own division. It doesn't matter. You're not playing the big boys. Baltimore's gotten turned it around after a couple seasons ago. Obviously, the Yankees are the Yankees. The Red Sox are back. So yeah, it's hard to be a fan of the business of baseball.
Keep trying to walk it back, Rosie. True
I'm walking it back.
All know you're still a fraud. That's what he says. By the way, it's raining in St. Louis right now, too.
Well, it was supposed to be beautiful. Seriously?
It's raining right now.
Oh, that sucks.
In St. Louis.
Well, then that's no good.
They might not play ball today.
Well, that's why they had that open date tomorrow.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Rain delay in St. Louis.
Oh, that's... Honestly, I watched the warm-ups yesterday. It was like, beautiful sunshiny day.
If they don't play today, I'm done with them. I'm going to follow your lead.
You follow my lead. You'll watch like 2 games all year. Maybe 1. Well, it eliminates one of the programming predicament issues if that's the case. Unfortunately, everything else is pretty much tonight. wild
If
for
we
hockey.
if we get to May 15th and they're 8 or 9 games out, are you done with them then too? You just
I wouldn't be done with them. I think, as you talked about, my interest level would level off. I got a busy summer. I got a lot of things I want to do. They have to earn people's trust back, and that's why it's so important for them to get off to a good start. They just do.
Rosie writing off the Twins before the first pitch.
I never did that.
Unreal.
No, I never said that.
What happened to you, Mark?
I never said that. You're saying that about it. I talked about last year and why I dropped DirecTV. I had nothing to do with this year.
Another. Rosen did not start going to Wolves games until they started winning. Rosen is the biggest fraud ever. Yeah.
I started going to Wolves games? What do you think I was doing the last 35 years? Watching?
That was work related where you had to go.
Well,
when it came time where you could just go, you didn't start going until you got invited to the Alexis
Club. So wanted to watch Darko Milicic eat Skittles on the sideline huddle?
No, because
you got to be kidding me.
Because you got invited down to the Lexus Club for swordfish and courtside seats with a winning team. Boy, you sure loved them then.
When they played Memphis in the play-in game, whatever it was, or who they played, the Clippers. There? Yeah, I bought tickets for that game.
All right.
What do you think of the name Royals Rosen? What do you think of that?
I like that. Royals Rosen. Why'd you go?
Keep your eye on that.
Why didn't you?
I'm not a Patrick Mahomes. I don't like the Chiefs. I love the Royals.
Why didn't you and Karn move to Kansas City?
Because our next job's not going to be in Kansas City.
You could see a big game there.
Chicago, Kevin Warren, aren't you? New York, huh?
No.
Where? We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about Mark Rosen's comings and goings as we return to the Common Man Program on the Fan.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/iHeart.
Every day, our world gets a little more connected, but a little further apart. But then, there are moments that remind us to be more human.
Thank you for calling Amica Insurance.
Hey, I was just in an accident.
Don't worry, we'll get you taken care of.
At Amica, we understand that looking out for each other isn't new or groundbreaking. It's human. Amica, empathy is our best policy.
When it comes to playtime, never let your squad down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Push your gameplay beyond performance with 13th Gen Intel Core processors. Upgrade to smooth, high-quality streaming with Intel Wi-Fi 6E. And maximize game performance with enhanced overclocking. Win the tech search and head to Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
Get ready for a night of non-stop laughter. Tom Segura's Come Together Tour is taking over the XL Energy Center April 18th. Tickets are flying off the shelves. Don't miss out. Grab yours now. KFAN.com. Get your calendar.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man Program. I'm Common. He's Brett Blakemore, the legendary Mark Rosen here as well. 6:39, the opening tap for Game 1 of the Sweet 16. Mm-hmm. Number 4, Maryland against Florida. Florida has been the number 1 team for much of the season. They got a lot of talent. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Maryland, I think, did they finish second in the Big Ten this year? I think they did.
I'm not sure.
I think Maryland
pretty close.
Finished second. They had the fantastic finish, the buzzer beater, to oust Colorado State.
Right, our guy.
Nico Medved's club. Do you think Maryland is got enough to upset Florida?
I think what we're seeing right now and why the Blue Bloods, I mean, the number 1 seeds are all there right now is because I really think all this, the transfer portal and the NIL money in particular is caught up I mean, the days of having the George Masons, and is that the name of the school? That you always want to have at least one or two of those teams have a chance at getting to the Final Four, and it rarely happened, but it happened. At least get to the Final Eight. I don't think you're going to see any of that. I think money has bought the best players to the best teams. Duke, obviously, is probably at the top of that list, along with
I made a mistake,
Florida.
by the way. I was going to go game by game here.
Yeah, that's okay.
The 6:09 is the first game. It's BYU against Alabama.
Oh, right. Maryland plays Florida.
And BYU
later.
Did I read this or hear this right? They shoot as many threes as anybody in college basketball, and their defense, I think, is a little bit underrated. I think BYU can play with Alabama as good as Alabama is. I'm gonna take the Cougars in that game. I'm gonna call an upset there. The 6-seeded Cougars are going to beat number 2-seeded Alabama.
Well, again, I'm not saying you're not going to see potential of an upset tonight. I mean, the biggest point spread tonight is Duke 9.5 over Arizona. Otherwise, Alabama's 5.5 over BYU. Duke is only Duke's 9.5. Florida's 6.5 over Maryland, and Texas Tech is 5.5 over Arkansas. So those are pretty evenly matched games. They're not 12-point favorites or more, but Duke is probably the odds-on favorite to win tonight.
I think I'll take the 10 seed against Texas Tech as well. And I'll tell you why. I'm not a big idolizer and pedestalizer of players or coaches. Yeah. But Calipari, he is now beaten in this tournament. He beat Billy Self,
right,
and then he just knocked off Ricky Pitino.
Yep.
He beat two of the legends head to head, and I know it's more the team than the coaches, but college basketball, these coaches all know each other. They've played it. They've coached against each other for years. I like Arkansas in this game. I think Arkansas is going to advance to the. I have two upsets. I do think Duke and Florida will win. I'll take the chalk there.
Right.
And they're the favorites, and I know it's easy to go ahead and take the favorites, but sometimes you just have to go with that. I'm going to go with BYU and Arkansas are the upsets in today's game.
I think that's why, again, there are still a few heavyweight type coaches. That's why I think I'm certainly in Tom Izzo's corner with Michigan State. Not the most talented Spartan team we've ever seen, but he has a way of getting the most out of those players, year in, year out, and I think that's the case again this year. Michigan's still alive. They play tomorrow. Michigan State and Michigan are playing tomorrow. Michigan
State will take on Ole Miss. Ole Miss is the 6th seed. Ole Miss, I think they benefited from where they were in the bracket. Iowa State had a terrific season.
They did.
They were the 3rd seed, but going into the tournament, they lost their best player. And I think that's where Ole Miss benefited. And that's why I think, and not to say that they could not have got past Iowa State without the injury, but I think they benefited by being in that bracket. But I'm with you. I like Michigan State. I think, I saw the little piece. I talked about this the other day where at the beginning of the season, apparently Izzo went to the club and said, we're going to rotate 10 guys. You're all in, right? He goes, we're going to do a rotation. Sort of like some guy on the radio had an idea of rotating running backs.
No.
Having 4 or 5.
How ridiculous.
And they all bought into this by Izzo. And even I think their leading scorer, the Richardson guy, he only had 1 bucket in the last game. So because they play so many people, because so many people have been able to rise to the occasion at different stages during the game, I think they're deep, they're well balanced, they play defense. I think Ole Miss is I think they're done tomorrow. I think they're going to lose. I think Michigan State will win that game.
Well, it's hard to even know. I mean, part of the problem, I think, with and I'll certainly be watching the games as much as anyone else, and especially when it gets to the weekend, is you got to get to know these players. You don't know them from a year ago for the most part, other than what's his name from Duke. Excuse me, having a coughing jag here. But we're in that recruiting phase, and our new guy Nico Medved's in the process of going after freshmen. And I've heard the theory already, like. It's a rhetorical question, but does it really matter? Of course, you want to land some top freshmen, but the bigger issue is landing the transfer portal guys. There's 1,000 players out there already. And, if somebody coaches somebody through their freshman year and he has a good season, there's no guarantee that player is going to stay there. I mean, you'd like to think, well, yeah, I got him for 2 or 3 years unless he goes pro. Now it's like, roll the dice. Maybe he'll stay here. Maybe he won't. So it's almost more important to have that relationship and the bank account with your nil money to get the players that are in the portal, if you can put them all together. So that's just the world we live in right now.
Kentucky, the 3 seed against Tennessee, the 2 seed. I'm starting to like these Volunteers. I think this is
that's a good matchup.
This is a really good matchup. It should be good. I was just going to get into a deep dive on my breakdown of Kentucky, Tennessee. The guy I've had my eye on for a long time is the Kentucky super senior Kobe Brea.
You haven't watched him?
Well, I haven't watched him for a while. Yeah. He's had a terrific in the NCAA tournament. 6'7", 215-pounder. He's made 15 of 25 shots so far, averaged 18 points, 4 boards, and 2.5 assists in their big dance victories over Troy and Illinois. I'd like, that for Kentucky to beat Tennessee, it wouldn't really be an upset other than by the seeds numbers. But I think Tennessee is for real, and I think they're going to advance. And then in that final game of the of tomorrow night in the NCAA tournament, hold on, I had it here. There's 2 more. Michigan and Auburn. I'd like to see the Wolverines advance. I really would, but I think Auburn, even though Auburn got a scare in their first game, I think Auburn wins. Houston, Purdue. I'd love to see Purdue win, but I do think the number 1 seeds. There's a reason. Sometimes you look at a number 1 seed and you go, well, I don't know if they're really a number 1, but I think all the number 1 seeds are legit. I think Houston wins.
Yeah, getting all 4 number 1 seeds to the Final Four is doesn't happen all that often, I don't believe, but I think this is one of those years where there's a really good chance. Yeah. Cooper Flagg, that's what I was thinking.
You love Cooper Flagg, don't you?
Well, he's going to be obviously the number 1 pick in the draft, and the next Larry Bird, I guess, if they're calling him. There's never going to be another Larry Bird.
I think he's a little overrated myself, but that's for another time. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a break. Come back. One more segment to go. Twins game coverage begins soon, Mark Rosen.
Yeah, weather permitting.
By the way, someone did a little research for me on our KFAN text line. Says there's a 42-story luxury condo in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Says, I'm sure it has a patio balcony big enough for Royals Rosen's Grill. And for a second home, for a second home in Kansas City, there's an upscale grocery store called the Hen House.
Oh, man, thank you for telling me that.
Because, you practically live at Kowalski's. You could live at the Hen House.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you don't love Minnesota and Minneapolis, Mark, leave it. We like it here. And we're not turning our back on the hometown team.
I love Minneapolis. Yeah. I live in Minneapolis.
Yeah, and you're about to turn your back on the Twins again like you did last year.
You did? The Twins?
You turned your back on them last year. You gave up on them.
As a fan, they made me extremely frustrated. And everyone who's pretending that they're not.
Well, we were frustrated, but you know what?
You didn't stick with them. Give me a break.
Here's what you do. You win
did. They were unwatchable.
You win together, you lose together is what you do.
Okay.
Through thick or thin, Mark.
You're a fraud.
Okay. Let's take a break. One more segment to go on the Fan.
At Amica Insurance, we know it's more than just a car or a house. It's the 4 wheels that get you where you're going and the 4 walls that welcome you home. When you combine auto and home insurance with Amica, we'll help protect it all. And the more you cover, the more you can save. Amica. Empathy is our best policy.
When it comes to playtime, never let your squad down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Push your gameplay beyond performance with 13th Gen Intel Core processors. Upgrade to smooth, high-quality streaming with Intel Wi-Fi 6E. And maximize game performance with enhanced overclocking. Win the tech search and head to Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
Wild Wednesday is sponsored by Jim Beam. The official bourbon of the Minnesota Wild are here all season long. Listen every Wednesday through March for your chance to win tickets.
ripped again.
For what?
Rosen was talking about how in today's college basketball, there's so much turnover, you have to learn all the players on a team every year except for at Duke. Their good player, who he later identified as Cooper Flagg.
Right.
Rosie, Cooper Flagg is a freshman. He didn't play for Duke last year, and he won't play for them next year. You've never seen Cooper Flagg play basketball.
I've seen Duke play basketball.
Okay.
I know he's going to be. He'd be the number one. I just said he'd be the number one pick in the NBA draft. Of course he's not going to be here next year. Was he not listening?
No, but I think what he was saying is Duke, you know the players on their team year after year, and he just started.
I didn't say you know the players.
Right.
You know, he's the one player you know. I mean,
why is Larry Mondello guy doing this thing?
It's not Grant Hill, Christian Laettner, Bobby Hurley. Those days are gone.
Why does Larry Mondello guy? He's got nothing better to do, does he?
Well, he should be writing new comedy material.
Yeah.
What he should be doing. But that's
he
a
should
whole
just be
other
writing
subject.
any comedy material. Your Minnesota Timberwolves currently sit in the 8th spot in the Western Conference standings, which means if the playoffs were to start today, they'd be doing the play-in thing. They're 41-32. Mm-hmm. The Warriors in 7th at 41-31, as are the Clippers 41-31. Then the Grizz a little further up at 44-28, as are the Lakers. Catching the Nuggets would probably be difficult because they are at 46-28, but it's not impossible to catch the Lakers or the Grizzlies, I don't think. When you look at the Timberwolves games they have remaining, starting with tomorrow.
We had 9 of them. Yeah.
They're at home to the Suns. Let's just take them. That should be with the Wolves, it just depends how hard they try.
Well,
you would think that would be a victory.
I think they're going to, based on even Julius Randle's comments yesterday, that I think his quote was, "We got after it after their disappointment." I'm just trying to say number one, they match up real well. They always play well against Phoenix. I don't know if Bradley Beal's playing. I don't know how healthy Anthony Edwards is. I mean, he slashed his thumb, and I don't know what he did. If he did it at home, I assume he did. But he should not have played the other night. I don't know why Anthony
So you think with Julius Randle saying we really got after it, that's going to be enough to give you the confidence?
I think what's going to be enough is the fact that they got embarrassed the other night, and they're playing a team that they match up really well against.
They were embarrassed the night before and the night before. So they lost 3 in a row, and they were embarrassed every game.
Asking me, they match up well against Phoenix, and I think they'll beat them.
Pistons at Timberwolves.
A tough one.
I would say they lose to the Pistons. So they're 1-1.
Sometimes you have to look at, we're at that point of the season already where, and I'm looking at Detroit right now in the East. They're in 6th, and they can move up to 5th, and they could actually move up to 4th. So I think they're going to definitely put the effort. Sometimes you have to start looking like, how much does this game mean to these guys?
Well, it means a lot to the Pistons.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the standings, and that's going to be a tough one. Yeah,
You're going to take Minnesota, though, right?
No, I don't know.
I'm going to take the Pistons in that one. So now they're 1-1.
All right.
Timberwolves at Nuggets. I know you think that the Nuggets, we've got their number, we can't beat them. It doesn't just the odds say that the Nuggets are eventually going to win a game. I'll take Denver in that one. You're going to take Minnesota, I'm assuming.
Probably, because I think they do play well against them.
I think they're going to be 1-2. On the road against the Nets, that's no gimme with the way the Wolves play, but I'll give them that game. That's 2-2.
Yeah, Brooklyn's got nothing to play for, but we've seen that before.
They should beat the 76ers.
Yeah, they should.
The 76ers.
They're out of it. They're dead. They're playing for the lottery.
Where are the Bucks? The Bucks are, they'll make postseason play, right?
Yeah.
I think they've been a bit of a disappointment.
Well, they're fighting with Detroit right now for 5th and 6th and 4th, actually. So they have an opportunity. You know, the Wolves caught them last time Damian's out for the year.
I'll take the Bucks in that game.
Yeah, I probably would too.
Timberwolves at the Grizzlies. I would take the Grizzlies in that game.
Yeah. Again, looking at the standings, I mean, it's kind of a logjam in there. I don't think Memphis is going to lay down. I mean, they're playing at home. They want to have some momentum going in the postseason. I would probably somehow I think they're going to. I'd say they split those 2 games, Milwaukee and Memphis. The Wolves. I don't think they're going to lose both.
I think they'll lose both, and then they should win the last 2. Yes. Home to the Nets and home to the
So what do you got them? So
let's see. 1 and
you got them winning tomorrow night.
2-0. 2-1, 2-2, 3-2, 4-2, 4-3, 4-4. I've got them going 5-4 the rest of the way.
Well, that's probably not too far off.
I think you've got them 6-3.
Maybe, but I is that going to be enough for them to?
I don't know. I don't have all the other schedules for me. I don't know. I don't know. 5-4 is good enough to get to that.
Yeah.
To that. Get out of that 7-8 spot. And
it doesn't. They haven't been able to move up. I mean, despite how close it is, and it doesn't take much. They haven't been able to move the needle in these last couple of weeks to get in that position. And once you get there, you want to stay there. But for whatever reason, either the Clippers get hot, Golden State gets hot for a while, then they lose a couple games. I think Steph Curry is probably going to come back. I think they play New Orleans tomorrow night. That's probably more of a gimme type game for them. But I don't know. I mean, my gut feeling is they're going to end up being a play-in game. I hope I'm wrong. I really do, but I'm not that that's the end of the world, but I think that's what they're going to be dealing with.
Minnesota Golden Gopher basketball team. It's the Obit. No, not Obit. Nibbit. What's the name of their tournament they're playing in?
Talking about the women's?
The Wibbit?
Yeah, the Wibbit.
WBIT or whatever it is, yeah.
They're at the barn tonight. Will you be there?
No, I'm not. I got a lot of games to watch. I watch Gopher hockey in the NCAA tournament. You got Sweet 16. You got Wild playing Ovechkin. I mean, it's going to be remote. Boom, 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 boom. That's why I got to make my dinner and get back to it's going to be a lot of flipping around. And the way things going with the Twins, they're not probably going to start this game till 4:30. The rain delay and the weather looks like it might be clearing up later on.
Yeah,
and we were just talking off air, like the Twins do next week. The Cardinals and the Twins, they have this built-in day off tomorrow, right? And then they play again on Saturday. Well, tomorrow the weather looks glorious in St. Louis. And now, unless they get rained out today, then they'll play tomorrow. Saturday looks like rain again. So it's like, probably the same thing's going to happen here next week. But it's that time of year, and you take your chances when you're playing anywhere in the Midwest. It's going to rain or snow or something. So.
Rosen's favorite band, KC and the Sunshine Band. His favorite barbecue sauce, KC Masterpiece.
Yeah.
Favorite basketball coach, KC Jones. Favorite DJ, KC Kasem. He's obsessed with KC. No wonder he's enamored with Bobby Witt.
That's exactly right. Nailed me.
Overland Park Mark. So I'm going to start calling you Overland Park Mark.
Love the ballpark there, KC ballpark.
Yeah.
Where witnessed Paul Molitor's 3,000th hit at that KC ballpark.
You were there?
A triple. Yeah, I was there. I barely made it. Our flight was delayed.
And you were going there to witness it? Is that what?
Yeah, I was there to do a story. Hopefully they was going to get it. And we're in a rental car driving bad out of hell. And I'm listening to the game on the radio in Kansas City, and Molitor complete, and he was like at 2009, going, please, don't get a hit. And he grounded out because we weren't there yet.
So selfishly, you're rooting for yourself.
Absolutely.
Instead of Paul Molitor.
And then we got there in time, right by the third base dugout, and I think it was the only player to get his 3,000th hit with a triple.
What if Molly would not have got the hit there, and then suffered a career-ending injury in the next inning? All because you rooted against him.
I was selfishly, yeah, of course we wanted to be there for it. We got dramatic film of it, tape of it, and did the interview after the game, and his dirt-filled uniform was sitting there hanging in his locker, and it was pretty cool. It was a good moment. I was there. I think I saw his 3,000th hit, Winfield's 3,000th hit. That one other one I saw. Maybe that wasn't a Twin. Maybe it was Eddie Murray's. I think he got it against the Twins. Mind gets a little foggy.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely Molly's was in Kansas City.
I don't know if I've ever seen a 3,000 hit.
Yeah. That was cool. That was dramatic. Of course, many of those were
5 minutes after the greatest Game 7 in World Series history. I was on the field slapping big Blackjack Morris on the back. I was there for that.
You got a credential for that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Was able to get one out at the Forest Lake radio station. They actually gave me one. I was surprised.
That's shocking.
You were there. I was there.
Yeah. Sure was.
Big moment.
TK on the field way late after the fact. It was. Yeah. Good times for all you kids out there that weren't born.
I was, I don't remember if it was after a playoff game against Toronto or if it was after one of the World Series games against the Braves, but Cub reporter that I was, tape deck tucked under my arm like Sid, with the tape deck. And they had the interview area. For some reason, it was on the concourse on the second level, not where all the people would be, not on the very bottom. They just had it in the concourse. It wasn't even in a press conference room or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm running up the flights of stairs to get up there as fast as I can. And I come up a flight of stairs, get to the landing, turn on the landing, start going up there, and I look up, and there's number 10, TK, slowly walking up the stairs. And I run by him, and as I squeeze past him, I go, "Great game, TK." And he goes, "That's why they pay us the big bucks."
He actually said that?
That's what he said. That's why they pay us the big bucks.
Oh, TK.
And he's right. That's why they pay him the big bucks, is because they produced exciting games in
he was
postseason.
As wise, and people love to second guess baseball. It's an easy game to second guess because you can see what happens. You don't have to say, "I got to wait for the film to analyze it." TK was as smart a baseball guy as I've ever been around. I mean, he was, as they say, he was playing chess, everyone else was playing checkers. He was 3 steps ahead of you all the time. He understood what made that ball club tick and his players and how to get the most out of them. I thought he was tremendous. He
was good.
Yeah.
And I think, did he have even a winning record with? Because he was saddled with some pretty bad teams.
Oh, he was saddled with a lot of bad teams. But I used to listen to. I get a kick out of.
Can you do me a favor, Brett? Look up Tom Kelly's managerial record.
Yeah. And he walked away. When he didn't have. Well, I mean, he had his reasons. But I'm saying no one forced him to.
No, he wasn't forced out.
No,
absolutely not.
No.
No, he was not forced.
No.
Brett Blakemore.
Let's see here.
Tom Kelly, all-time manager.
Yeah, 16 years. His all-time, so his wins, 1,140, losses, 1,244.
Okay, so he had a winning record. I knew it was close, right? Because did he have a winning record then?
No, he didn't.
Oh, he did. Yeah, right.
Record.
Yeah. What was those numbers again?
It was wins, 1,140.
Okay.
Losses, 1,244.
Okay, yeah.
His percentage was .478.
Yeah. So, but yet you're right. He was a hell of a manager, especially And again, when you're provided with players and a couple of horses on the mound, a guy can do a lot of things.
Yeah. He knew he had to win with the horses. He talked about it all the time. And he could pencil in Kirby Puckett's name every day and Ken Herbeck at first base and the rest of the gang. As they lost that team had the nucleus of that team in 82 lost 100 games and. They stuck together, which is, again, in this day and age, is almost impossible. That team would have been able to stick together. A few additions here and there, but to go from that to keep in mind in '87 they played 500. They lost a bunch of games at the end of the year, but they barely played 500 baseball.
Correct.
And then of course they went on a tear against Detroit and ended up in the big games.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Cal Irmer, your thoughts?
Cal Irmer. I didn't have a lot of thoughts about Cal Irmer. I remember him being here. The guy that was intimidating to me.
Gene Mauch.
Yeah, I was just going to say Gene Mauch. I was kind of a Cub reporter at that time, and I was Roy Smalley's uncle. And he used to, he and Sparky were probably the best at smoking heaters in the dugout.
Yeah.
Before the game, maybe in between innings, he'd sneak behind the cage and. But he was an X's and O's guy as well. Kind of a brusque personality. I mean, I think of Gene Mauch, Jimmy Leyland, Sparky had a sense of humor, but they were hard boiled, as they say. How
was your relationship with Billy Martin when he was here?
I loved it. Well, I mean, mostly when he came back as the Yankee manager.
Okay.
One of my favorite interviews ever was at Metrodome, and I was interviewing Billy. He came back live on the air, and he was the manager of the Yankees for the whatever time with Steinbrenner.
It was 5 times altogether, wasn't it? I'm serious. I think it was 5 different times.
I said, I think it was his first game at the Dome, and I said, "What do you think of this place?" He goes, "It's a dump." And he goes, "Who came up with this idea?" He said, "These poor kids with their fishing poles with a piece of paper dangling from it over the dugout trying to get somebody's autograph. They had to tear it down and start all over again. I'll never forget. It was live on TV. And, of course, Dave Moore was anchoring back there. He was loving it because he stepped foot in the dome once. But Billy was vintage Billy at that time. Yeah, he was. I mean, Calvin should have never fired him, but, they had personality issues. But Billy was.
Yeah, personality issues with everybody.
Well, with everybody.
George Steinbrenner.
Yeah, like
he was hired and fired literally, I think it was 5 different times.
Not more. Yeah. He and Reggie went at it. I mean, it was different times.
Punched out Dave Boswell, right?
Yeah,
Didn't he punch out Dave Boswell?
Yeah, he got into a fight with was it the marshmallow salesman?
I thought he also had a
fight with Boswell.
I thought he did.
I think he may have.
And I think he knocked out Dave Boswell.
Tough little SOB.
And Dave Boswell won 20 games one year, and you know what year it was? When he pitched for Billy Martin. It was the only time Dave Boswell won 20 games.
He was one of my favorite pitchers.
Dave Boswell won 21 games, and it was only...
Martin got the best out of him.
Must have, or something. Or maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't know.
Maybe.
But, yeah. And then Billy died in a car crash, right?
I believe he did on Christmas Eve, I think it was.
Yeah, he went off the road on a icy road or something like that, and that was the end of it there. You got to get home. This Twins game's going to start, and then you're going to be making dinner. You're going to be making pork chops. And,
got to get
and
things ready.
You've got NCAA basketball to watch, Gophers to watch, Minnesota, Gopher hockey, Gopher basketball. You got a lot to do.
Ovechkin. I mean, it's going to be getting a workout tonight, that remote.
What do you think I'm going to watch?
Rockford.
What am I going to
It is one of the greatest theme songs of all time. I don't blame you.
This is Jim Rockford. Leave your name and number of the message, and I'll get back to you. $200 a day plus expenses.
That's it.
Keep me updated on the games. Will you text me scores and stuff so I can check them out? Because otherwise I have to click on. I don't want to take that time.
Why would you bother?
It's a double episode of Rockford Files today.
There you go.
I'll see you next Monday, right? Tuesday, Tuesday at 2 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
The legendary Mark Rosen. Oh, by the way, do you think the Twins are going to win the division or not?
No.
Okay.
I picked Kansas City.
I'm picking them to win the division.
Okay.
The Twins.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
Brett Blakemore, thanks for having me. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, great job today.
Yeah, thanks. We'll be back. Who do you have for a program password?
Halvey will be in this chair tomorrow.
Oh.
So that's a Halvey production. That's what I'm told.
Oh. Does he know he has to get in?
I have no idea. We'll find out.
When were you going to tell me this?
Right now.
Oh, boy. All right. We're back tomorrow at 12 noon. Big Ticket Big Ticket and Brett Blakemore next.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.
Some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com. ODOO.com.
When it comes to playtime, never let your squad down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Push your gameplay beyond performance with 13th Gen Intel Core processors. Upgrade to smooth, high-quality streaming with Intel Wi-Fi 6E. And maximize game performance with enhanced overclocking. Win the tech search and head to Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.